Okay, so we're back with the review, a continuing review of the Xiaomi Mi 3. As you can see, now I'll take you through the entire interface of the system. Here you can see we've got the lock screen, and it's just a simple lock screen based on Android 4.4.4 right now because I'm running the developer ROM. And as you can see, you can pull down the notifications, and not only does it give you the notification toggle, also gives you these other toggles. Now anyway, this is the lock screen. You drag down to unlock, you drag to the left to go to your dialer directly, up to go to the camera, right for messaging. Another cool feature of the MIUI lock screen is that if you double tap this, it will bring up the audio player controls, and then you can use your audio itself from the lock screen. Double tap again and you're back out into the main lock screen. Just drag down and you unlock the phone, and here you can see MIUI in its full glory. Now as we can see, this UI doesn't support app draws just like Nova launcher or Apex launcher. However, this has a more iOS sort of a feel, as in the home screens themselves are part of the launcher. As you can see here, you have various screens, and this is not the default one. I have set mine up, so you can see the amount of customization available here. Now let's go through this one by one. At the bottom here, as usual, you can have 4 to 5, or you can even change the layout of the launcher. We'll come down to that. So let us move first things first. We start by looking at the settings in this phone, and the very first setting you can see here is to edit the home screen. Tapping this will bring up the previews of the various screens. You can move through to see or to rearrange your screen, and as you can see here, you have these options at the bottom. One is to move the apps. If you tap on this, it's quite simple. Now you just tap on the app which you want to move. It gets added to this drawer here. Swipe through, select another screen and tap on the app again. It gets sent over there like so, and once again I have my app moved. Okay, now the next one right below that is the setting for wallpaper, and it's just like every other wallpaper selection. We have one for the home screen, we have the lock screen, a live wallpaper selection, and MIUI wallpaper for the entire system, or MIUI, whichever way you pronounce it. Next we have the search function. This allows you to search within the phone for apps, for contacts, etc, etc, and you can come out from that. Then we have preview home screens. Now this will show you a shortcut preview of all your home screens. You can either move them around or even change your home screen by tapping on the home button at the lower part of the preview. Now the next one which we have are the launcher settings. Now this is a very nice one. The first setting here is for your transition effect. As we go in, you have these array of effects to select from, but I'll keep it at the stock. Next one is wallpaper alignment. You can either choose center, left or right, or just stick with the theme default. Finally, you have the app icon layout. This is what I was speaking about earlier. Now I have mine set as 4x5, which is why I can have 5 icons in the dock. You have an option to lock your app positions. Now do note, as you have seen that I have folders out in the home screen, the Xiaomi Mi 3 ships with certain pre-configured folders like tools, which contain the Xiaomi apps. If you put this off, you most probably will get rid of those folders, as the apps will no longer remember that they were inside those folders, and all of them will align themselves on your home screen. Additional settings that we have, the first one is simple, lock MIUI in your memory, and the other one is to enable app shadows. If you really want to save more memory, you can disable this, but I pretty much feel this phone can handle anything. Now we come down to the final one, and the one which we will discuss in more detail, and that's called the main settings. As you can see, you head into the main settings. Now initially when your phone is new, you will be greeted with quick settings, and it will have just your normal stuff, and then you have the general settings, which is a more deeper mode to get your things done. The very first option is airplane mode. The very second option, as usual, mobile networks, then wireless LAN and Bluetooth, and then more. We'll have a look at everything one by one. As you can see here, you have an option to enable your data, mobile data 3G. Also you have an option for data roaming and to always receive MMS. This is pretty much the same as in any other phone. Next you move on to wireless LAN, and as you can see I am already connected to Wi-Fi. You can add a network, plus you can also have the phone notify you when a Mi router is available. Also this gives you a network notification when a network is open. And you have your advanced settings. Within the advanced settings you have the option to sleep, allow scanning always, to avoid poor connections, etc, etc. This is all the same as usual. One setting which you normally wouldn't notice is the option for Wi-Fi direct, and it's not actually a direct method of access in this phone. You have to come into Wi-Fi menu right now where I am, tap on this menu button, and there you have the option scan and wireless LAN direct, and now you have Wi-Fi direct. You can search, which of course won't show anything since I have no peer devices on the network. So we come out of that. Now you know how to access Wi-Fi direct on this phone. And well, pretty much the next one is Bluetooth, the same standard options. Then you have the more settings, which prevents you with VPN, hotspot tethering, and wireless LAN display. Now this option can be used to connect to a display via Wi-Fi. I do not know how well this works, but my guess is this is mostly for the Xiaomi Mi TV or the Mi TV 2. Next you have NFC, which is on by default, Android beam, and your secure element position settings. Next one you come up to display. Now display is an important setting in MIUI. As you see, display first has brightness. You can set the brightness of your screen. Right now it's an automatic brightness. Then you have another option for color temperature and saturation. As you can see, mine is set at the default. Which is standard. You can also choose other settings for this. Next one we have here then you have, as you can see, the glove mode and accidental prevention of pocket dials when placed in your pocket. After that you come to the display part of the system, which first one over here is your home screen wallpaper, lock screen, and a choice of live wallpaper. At present, as you can see, I am already using 500 Fire paper as my wallpaper. So let's come out of this and back into this menu. You have an option of starting your screensaver, which is nothing but the Daydream option from a Nexus phone. The option to change your font and the size, and this is one of the most distinguishing features of MIUI, in that it allows you to have the largest of the largest fonts, and it's been one of my favorite options since version 2. Finally you come to another important part, an option which usually is not in display settings. You will find this in KitKat under settings called Home. However, in MIUI, the option to select your default launcher is within the display settings, as over here. And as you can see, my default launcher is the system launcher. As an option I have Mi Home, but I don't know why this setup is in this. Finally you have optimized text, which optimizes your text paragraph line breaking, auto rotate screen, which you can put on or off according to your liking, the option to select your sleep, and pulse notification light. Let's come back out. We go into sound, the next option, and in the next option pretty much the same. Almost everything here is exactly the same except for a new option here, which is vibrate with the beat. So whenever you have music playing or your ringtone ringing, the your haptic feedback will vibrate according to the beat of the song, which is a cool feature but pretty much unnecessary. And then you have the direct settings, direct, which is the same chip which Mi3 is using as the iPhone. As you can see, mine is already enabled to enhance audio, and I have selected general in ear. You have the option of selecting general earbuds, Mi earbuds, Mi In ear headphones, Mi Piston 1, Mi Piston 2, and Mi Piston Youth, which literally is too grayed out to see. Also, you have the further option of going into the equalizer, excuse me, and changing for more custom presets. Finally, you have ambient noise suppression during calls, and I must say this works really good, as I have spoken with my friend who himself has another Mi3, and even if you are in traffic, you pretty much cannot hear the background noise, which is very good for this phone. Finally, you come, not finally, but next you move on to the notifications, and this is where you get the option to use the old gingerbread cyanogen mod style of notification, which if I select this as a bar will show my notifications to me at the bottom here, or if I select it as a page, it shows it in this fashion, which I prefer. It also gives you the option to show your connection speed in the notification bar, as you can see over here. It shows your data usage info, helps you to manage your notification, and the additional settings are pretty much to show your service provider, which I have disabled. It also allows you to edit the name of your service provider. It shows I have enabled the option to show screenshot notification when you have taken a screenshot. Like let's take for example, I take a screenshot over here, and there it shows the notification for taking a screenshot. And also you can enable or disable your lock screen notifications using this button. Next we will come to security settings. Let's move into security settings. Now in security settings you pretty much have the same. You set a screen security, which gives you the options to automatically lock your screen, power button locks the screen, screen lock. You can select a type of screen lock, which over here directly brings you to unlock pattern, and try other ways to unlock, which includes password or pin for your phone. Next one is a privacy protection. This gives you the option to enable a guest mode and permission settings. You can, after enabling permission settings, draw a pattern. Does not give you the option for pin or password. And then you can lock apps and make the pattern visible according to your demands or your needs. You have password setting, which allows you to make your passwords visible in the password box while you're typing them, that is, if you choose so. You have device administrators, allow apps from unknown sources, which you need most of the time. Verify apps while installing them, the same. Finally you have the option to disable user experience program. Since recently people have been expressing issues with MIUI's privacy policies, you can tap this button here to disable this. The same question is asked when you are setting up your phone. If you have enabled it over there and you wish to disable it in future, this is the place where you can do it. Next we will move on to location services. And as you can see, access to location and your mode. At present I am in battery saving mode. You have three modes just like any other device: high accuracy, battery saving, and device only. Finally, you have another one called do not disturb. In my case it's off, but you can always schedule the disturb timings. Exceptions can be set for it, and repeated calls. Next you come to your account section, which is pretty much the same as everything else. As you can see, I have too many accounts added to my device. And then you have the sync option, where you can enable auto sync. You can enable it to sync only on wireless LAN. If you put this off, it will also sync on data, and the option to select the accounts which you need to sync. Next one we have are the battery settings, and as you can see from this, battery settings has three options, and this is very much a system which I like. One shows you the battery use. As you can see, mine says 68% not charging. I have already had 21 hours 50 minutes and 21 seconds on battery. And as you can see my battery line on top, I have more than 70% battery remaining, which pretty much shows how amazing the battery life is on this phone. Next one is the battery indicator. You have three options. One is the graphical system, the percentage method, and finally the top bar, which is what I am using, which shows you a green line, and when you come down to 20% it shows you a red line. Next comes the settings, pretty much power settings in the battery menu, and this gives you the option of selecting either the balance setting or the performance setting. Do note, performance setting will affect your battery life, and as far as my testing goes, I have not found any graphical glitches or any lags in any games while using the balance setting. Plus it does give me extended battery life, which I pretty much like. So I pretty much stay on balanced all the time. If you are using the stable MIUI ROM for the Mi3, it will show you a conserve setting, but I am using the development ROM, and hence I have only two options. Next one is your storage. It pretty much will just show you the internal storage and how much is left. I have just installed two games. One is Shadow Fight and the other one is Alien vs Predators Evolution. And with just two games, a few songs, and a lot of miscellaneous data, which amounts to 3 GB, almost 3.67 GB, I hardly have half of my memory left. And right at the bottom you have the option to mount USB storage, which, as you know, this phone supports USB on the go out of the box. Next one we have here are the button settings. This is another fun thing. Here you have on top the long press navigation buttons. As you can see, my menu button is set to show the launch assistant. Pressing and holding home button shows me recent apps, and pressing and holding the back button closes the current app, or most probably if your app is not responding, it force closes the app. You also have the option to define how long the duration has to be in order for it to be considered a long press. Now the buttons that can be used on the lock screen also are mentioned here. Now long pressing the back button on the lock screen will enable you to take a photo. On the lock screen, I'll show it to you. Now on the lock screen, if I press and hold back button, MIUI will immediately launch a camera and take a photo. You have the option to disable the use of the power button on the lock screen, and you also have the option to wake with volume buttons. Finally, you have the operational key, button lights. You can select whether you want the light to be enabled for these three buttons down here, and you can select its duration, whether you want the light to be on for 1 second to 5 or always on. I'll leave it at the default 5 seconds. Pretty much works fine. The next option we have are the headphones, and this allows you to control the use of your headphones. If you have a microphone attached to your headphone with volume buttons, you can choose whether you want the volume buttons to control volume level, or whether you want it to control moving forward or backwards through your audio list. Also, you can assign buttons here, and it shows no headphone detected since I haven't connected any. Finally, you come down to the next system settings, which over here are pretty much the same as everything else. Date, you have language input, apps, backup and reset. This is a bit different compared to the others. Huh. Because this offers you the inbuilt backup app. As you can see, local backups. If you tap on this, as you can see, I already have 3 backups, and as you can see, I've already set them to backup automatically. This is MIUI's inbuilt backup app. If you are using a slightly older version of the system, you will find a separate app. However, in my development ROM, which I am using right now, this is only available through the system settings. You don't get a separate icon for this on the home screen launcher. This button is to encrypt your backup, and as you can see, I am not connected to the network now, so it won't let me encrypt the data. This button allows you to back up all your everything, pretty much everything on your system, and furthermore back it up to Mi Cloud. You can back up all your apps, so pretty much mitigates the use of titanium backup or any other form of backup. Tapping the menu button brings you to the settings for backup. You have enable encryption, which this button is supposed to do. Over here you have automatic backup settings. As you can see, in my case it's on every day, and it backs up pretty much everything on my phone. You also have the backup settings, the same as what it will present to you when you select a manual backup, and the rest are pretty much the same: Google backup and restore, and factory days are reset, which we aren't going to do right now. You have the accessibility settings and developer options. Let's go into developer options. Pretty much has the standard settings you normally would expect from a development settings menu, except, and this one is the most important one of all, except for one very important setting. And as you can see, nowhere in this entire list do you see the option to enable ART runtime from Google, and that's because Xiaomi still considers ART to be experimental. But I hope when Android L releases and MIUI gets updated to the Android L version, they will support it, which up from the forums you can know that they will be supporting it. Finally, you come to the about phone option, which is absolutely the last option in the settings, and here you can see your device name, which of course tapping into it you can change, but I pretty much don't want to do it right now. Next you have the model number, and I'm using the Indian retail version, so the model number is the Mi3W. As you can see, my Android version is 4.4.4, but that is because I'm using the developer ROM. MIUI version 4.8.15, which just released today itself, August 15th 2014, which also happens to be the Independence Day of India. You can see here my CPU shows up as a quad-core 2.3 GHz, RAM 2 GB, internal memory, baseband version, etc. We are using kernel version 3.4. This shows us the battery status, the level. You have the user guide here in case you need it, but you need to be connected to the internet for it. And finally, legal information. At the bottom you have the button for system updates. Tapping this, you need internet connection. As you can see, I am already on the latest version. Coming back out to the main screen, we will now explore the options settings and the tools provided to us by MIUI. And here we tap into the tools folder. You have the clock, you have the recorder, you have your FM radio, for which you need the headphones to be connected. You have your torch button, torch app, and I will show you another way of using the torch right from the lock screen. Calculator, your compass, NFC app. Yes, MIUI does have a barcode scanner built into the camera app, so you do not need to download anything else. You have the app for reporting bugs and voice assistance. two things, or pretty much one app over here, which is of good and great importance to most of the users, will be the security app. You can use it to check for viruses. Let's run a check. As you can see, it will run a check on the system, memory and cache, provide you with recommendations, and you can clear your cache or get rid of unwanted apps using this. As you can see, it tells me I can clean my memory and optimize it. Let's see what's going on, and it's almost always going to be Google Play services which is the culprit. Tap cleanup, optimize, and I can optimize my cache, and I'm set to go. Over here, that was the cleaner which we have used. Let's go back into the app. This allows you to clean up the memory on your phone. It will show you what you have in your cache, add files, packages and residuals. The scan takes a while, so I won't actually do it. The next one you have here is data usage. As you can see, my data limit hasn't been set. You can restrict which apps you want to use your data, or you can set your data limit. You can set a peak data limit and the level at which it should warn you. You have also been provided with the data saver, but this is available only in the development ROM as of now, so I won't go into this. The next one you have is a block list. This is an inbuilt feature. Usually people install Truecaller for a system like this. This allows you to block messages and calls from unknown numbers, also to report certain numbers. Power. Over here you have the option to configure your battery configuration. As you can see, it says that I have 1 day and 23 hours of battery life remaining, which from the looks of it actually may survive that long. I have noticed that when you charge this phone, when your phone is brand new, do charge this for around 8 hours for around 3 days. Initially it takes around 3 hours for full battery charge, and I have noticed that while it's new, you actually should charge it for twice the amount of time it takes to charge your phone completely. It will give you around 50 to 60 hours of battery life. And what I have done now, almost after 10 days of ownership, is that I charge my battery till it's full and leave it on for another half an hour, and I consistently get around 60 hours of usage. Now you have your battery configuration, where you can select the different options. I am at present using default. You can use marathon to disable LAN, wireless LAN and mobile data connection, and sleep, which pretty much disables everything. I don't see a situation for when I might use sleep unless if I am lost in a jungle or something. You have the option to auto switch according to certain parameters, and as you can see, auto switch is off, in which case you can also select these options when you switch it on, and the modes will switch automatically when your battery reaches 20%, which is the default, and you can select the mode in which it can run. But in this case right now it's off. Also, you can schedule battery usage, and you can select whether you want to put your phone to sleep. This is a good way to get a lot of juice out of your battery. Say for example, you can put your phone into the battery mode sleep, which we had seen previously, every day at night between say 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then you can restore your phone back to the default battery setting, and this way I'm pretty sure you could even get 4 days battery usage. Of course I haven't tested it till now. You have your virus scan. As usual, it pretty much shows everything as clear unless you have something really bad involved in installed in your phone. Next one you have is the permissions app. Auto start management allows you to select which apps you want to run when your system starts up. Permissions manager allows you to select which apps ask for permissions and helps you to monitor those permissions. Root permission is disabled by default in the stable ROM. You have to enable root by flashing a zip in order to do that. That's for another video and some other time. But since I'm using the development ROM, I do have root permission by default, and I have set it as on, and I can also manage which apps I can allow root permissions to. The next thing we have is the themes app, and over here you can select different types of themes. As you can see, this app right now is in Chinese, but that's because I'm using the development ROM, which is in Chinese. But I feel that since Xiaomi is trying to move in a global direction, they should convert the development ROM from Chinese to just global English once and for all, as it will be beneficial to almost everyone on this planet who's using MIUI to help maintain and develop their system for a better future, so to say. What we will look into next are the widgets over here, because there are a few widgets which MIUI provides stock and they are quite good. Tap and hold on your home screen and you're presented with the edit home screen view. We have already seen move apps, we have the widgets, we have the option to change wallpaper and the effects. We will go into widgets. And the very first thing you find are the MIUI widgets. These are the same widgets which you find in the notifications toggle. And as the notifications toggle does not have enough space for all these options, they have conveniently provided us with widgets which we can add to the screen, any screen pretty much. And that's exactly what I have done, and I will show you that. As you can see, I have set up the lock widget right on my dock itself. If I tap this, I lock the screen, which is quite good, helps me to save the life of the power button. If only they had a way where we could double tap the screen, but that would, of course, like the LG G3. But of course, as we know, that would pretty much sap the life out of the battery, as it does keep your system on all the time. Over here, as you can see, I have added the same toggles for reboot, to shut down, for car mode and torch. Now, speaking about torch, I said it has a few modes on a lock screen, so let's lock the screen. In order to use the torch at the lock screen, you first put your screen on, press and hold the home button, and there you have it. Your torch is on. In order to turn it off, once the screen goes off, in order to turn your torch off, tap on your power button, it just goes off. As simple as that. So we've seen that from the lock screen itself, you can use the torch using the home key by long pressing it, and the camera by long pressing the back key. Let's unlock, go back in, and where were we before this? Yes. Now I will show you some few features of two apps which MIUI provide, and these features can only be accessed through the Mi launcher which they provide. The first one is the music app. By touching and swiping up on the music app, you get a pop-up, and that allows you a mini control. And as you can hear for yourself, the loudspeaker is pretty much loud, and it's located down here next to the micro USB port. The only trouble you will have is when you hold your phone in landscape mode to either watch movies or play games. Your hand will cover this grill and reduce the sound a bit, but I have found overall this is a beautiful speaker. It plays ringtones quite loud, and unlike many people complaining, I'm pretty much happy with that loudspeaker. It's not the worst I have heard and neither the best, but it's above average and very, very good. That much I can at least say about this. The next one you have is the calendar app, which shows you the date on the icon itself. The weather app, which shows you the temperature, but you need to be connected to either Wi-Fi or data for that. And you have the notes app. Swiping up on the notes app, just like the music app, will bring up the notes, a panel where you can take quick notes and save it. Hitting back. Also, do not forget that notes does sync to Mi Cloud, which is a very good feature again from MIUI. As you can see, my entire screen is a mess, but I have arranged as much as I can in folders, which is one of the most advantageous facts of using this iOS-like approach for a launcher, where I can set up widgets and add almost all my apps to different folders and save them.